Namaste, my dear friends. Continuation from the last class on input tax credit. Now referring to you furthermore points, very important point, especially section 16, subsection 3 I am referring now. A important provision it is, as you are aware of that. Section 16, subsection 3 of the CGST, where Mr. registered person, you want to avail the ITC on receipt of capital goods, you ensure that you should not capitalize the cost of GST on such capital goods for claiming depreciation under section 32 of the Income Tax Act. Then ITC allowed. On the other hand, if you purchase the capital goods with the GST amount capitalized to claim depreciation under the Income Tax Act, then ITC is not allowed. You are aware of that. What do you mean by capital goods? Capital goods as defined under section 2, subsection 19 of CGST. Capital goods means the value of which is capitalized in the books of accounts of the person availing the input tax credit and using that in the course or furtherance of his business. In that case, capital goods ITC depends upon claiming of depreciation on what value, which I am going to illustrate now, section 16, subsection 3 in a simplified manner to you, my dear friends, is as follows. Look here, one example, bringing to your notice one example here. If you refer in the given case, cost of capital goods excluding GST for claiming depreciation. Very good. In that case, ITC well allowed. Example, if you refer here, the examples are as follows in the given case, my dear sir. If you refer here, the example, cost of purchase of capital goods, how much value? I mentioned here 10 lakhs. GST paid thereon 1,80,000. Now, that person who availing ITC on such capital goods should not add this to the cost of capital goods for claiming depreciation under section 32 of the Income Tax Act. Now, in the given case, depreciation under section 32 of the Income Tax Act, he is claiming only on 10 lakhs, 10% under the block of assets, 1 lakh. If so, this ITC amount qualify for ITC? This GST amount qualify for ITC? Yes, GST 1,80,000 is allowed as ITC. Reason? Because this particular person who availing ITC not capitalized cost of the GST along with the cost of the asset to claim depreciation under section 32 of Income Tax Act. On the other hand, if you refer here, you come across cost of capital goods includes GST for claiming depreciation. If so, ITC is not allowed. See, the plant and machinery purchase for rupees 10 lakhs, GST paid thereon rupees 1,80,000. He is claiming depreciation in Income Tax Act not on 10 lakhs by adding the GST part thereon, namely 1,80,000. So 11,80,000 on which claiming depreciation at the rate of 10%. That means higher amount of depreciation, lesser amount of in net profit, resulting tax saving under income tax. Then don't expect any benefit of that GST to claim ITC under the GST law. So IGST of rupees 1,80,000 is not allowed as ITC because you have been capitalized the cost of the GST along with the cost of the capital goods for claiming depreciation under the Income Tax Act under Section 32 of the Income Tax Act 1961. So, in nutshell to say that Section 16 subsection 3 of the CGST says GST on capital goods ITC is allowed if you not claiming depreciation on such GST part under the Income Tax Act. As simple as this. Any doubt, my dear friends, in the given case?
Clear, sir.
Very clear. Very good. So further moving on from here, my dear sir, Section 16 subsection 4 of the CGST Act, which clearly says that time limit to avail the ITC. What do you mean it? I will explain with the help of example, but first let us understand the provision. Time limit to avail the ITC. 30th November of the succeeding financial year or filing the annual return for the given financial year in the succeeding financial year, the filing the annual return for the given financial year. Among these two, whichever is earlier. Repeating again. For example, 24-25 financial year, particular invoice not avail the ITC. In the subsequent financial year, can avail ITC? Yes. In the subsequent financial year, 25-26, I can avail the ITC provided the time limit should satisfy. That means within the time limit prescribed under Section 16, subsection 4 only I can avail. Meaning thereby, by 30th of November 2025 or date of filing the annual return, namely GSTR 9, among the two, whichever is earlier. Time limit under Section 16, subsection 4 of the CGST. Time limit to avail the ITC. But this time limit, Section 16, subsection 4, not applicable if it is re-availment of ITC, which we understood in the earlier session. Is clear? Now, referring further here with some illustrative example. Look here, supplier of the goods, buyer of the goods, name recipient of the goods, as you are aware of this. Further, supplier supplied the goods on 10th January 2024. Before that, tax invoice issued 1st January 2024. That means he has been issued the invoice in accordance with Section 31, subsection 1 of the CGST. On or before the dispatch of the goods, invoice has been issued, supply of the goods taken place. When the time of supply arises in the given case, time of supply for the supplier of the goods is 1st of January 2024 because invoice issued on or before dispatch of the goods. So, if January 1st, 2024 is the time of supply, supplier of the goods should submit GSTR 1 return to disclose his output tax liability by 11th of February 2024. Is it clear? In the given case, GSTR 1 return submitted for the tax period of January 2024, 11th April 2025 he submit. See how long delay happened to submit the GST 1 return by supplier of the goods. For the month of January return 2024, supplier of the goods is submitted the GST 1 return on 11th April 2025. That means for the recipient of the goods, want to avail the ITC of that invoice pertaining to the financial year 2023-24. He is getting the credit in the GSTR 2B return reflecting that credit in the month of April 2025. ITC allowed for the recipient of the goods. Let us see. Section 16, subsection 4, what it says. If you refer here, you understand, my dear friends. Look here. Actually, the invoice pertains to the financial year 23-24. The invoice belongs to financial year 23-24. Is clear? Look here. 23-24 financial year. For that financial year, to avail the ITC by the recipient is the 30th November of the succeeding financial year. Namely, in the given case, you see here, 30th November 2024 is the time limit, or annual return for the year 23-24 is filed by him. He filed him. By whom filed? With recipient has been filed. When filed? 31st December 2024. That means to say that to avail ITC by the recipient, time limit for the invoice pertaining to the financial year 2023-24 financial year invoice, time limit to avail the ITC is 30th November 2024 or the 31st December 2024, because they filed the return, annual return on 31st December 2024. Among these two dates, whichever is earlier. What is the earlier date? Earlier date is 30th November 2024. That means to say that this is the date, on or before this date, this recipient should avail the ITC. Is the time limit to avail the ITC. However, the supplier submitted the GST 1 return for the financial year 23-24 in the year 2025, 11th April 2025 is submitted. That means the invoice received by him on which input tax credit is reflecting to his books of accounts in the GST to be return in the month of April 2025 only reflecting. That means beyond the period of 30th November 2024. If so, this recipient can avail the ITC? No, because it is a time-barred invoice. It is a time-barred invoice. Recipient of goods, ITC, not allowed. Why not allowed, sir? Because time-barred claim. What is the time limit to avail the ITC by the recipient? In the given example, 30th November of the 2024 or annual return filed 31st December 2024, whichever is earlier in our given example. To the recipient, the time limit to avail the ITC 30th November 2024. Now, in the month of April 2025, is it possible for him to avail the ITC? Obviously not. Therefore, it is called as time-barred claim. ITC cannot avail by the recipient. So, you understand section 16, subsection 4, time limit to avail the ITC is 30th November of the succeeding financial year for the relevant financial year, or date of filing the annual return for the given financial year. Among the two, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. In our given example, this is numeric example I brought to your notice in a simplified manner. As you are aware of that, the recipient can avail the ITC only strictly based on the GST to be return. GST to be return is available to him as an input tax credit in the year 2025 after the time period to avail the ITC. Therefore, it is time-barred claim. ITC not allowed to the recipient. As simple as this. Any doubt in the given case, my dear friends? Any doubt or no doubt? Yes, sir. Clear? In the exam, if comes into picture whether the recipient, namely the recipient, can avail the ITC in the given information, if given, can avail the ITC, then you can say in the given case ITC not allowed because time bar claim. Able to answer? Yes, question definitely will come in the exam based on this. Further, my dear friends, now I am going to bring to a notice a very important circular of the CBIC. To know the circular of the CBIC, what I am going to refer, circular number 211, 2024, recently issued, well applicable in the exam point of view. To understand that circular, we should know time of supply for supply of goods or supply of services for reverse charge case. Section 12, subsection 3 of CGST Act, the time limit, time of supply for recipient of goods, recipient liable to pay GST, is the date of receipt of the goods, point number 1. Point number 2, the date of payment. Point number 3, 30 days from the date of invoice. Among three, whichever is earlier. For supply of goods, reverse charge applies. Coming to supply of services, section 13, subsection 3 of CGST says time limit to avail the ITC under RCM for supply of services, the date of payment or 60 days from the date of invoice, whichever is earlier. In case of associate enterprises, import of services, date of book entry or date of payment, whichever is earlier, is the time of supply. So knowing this fact, now entering into the important circular I am referring here with the help of numeric example, means a practical way of presentation of mine, as you are aware of that. If you look here, Mrs. Hanu and Company, GTA, basically unregistered person. Basically unregistered person. This is Hanu and Company, goods transport agent, who is unregistered person, not registered in GST law. Supplied transportation of goods services to the recipient. Who is the recipient here? Bhola Limited, registered person to GST, to whom GTA services supplied. When supplied? 1st April 2019. That time they supplied the services. Freight value how much? 2 lakh rupees. Now you tell me, my dear friends, in the given case, supplier liable to pay GST or the recipient liable to pay GST? Recipient is a specified person, received the GTA services from unregistered person, obviously under RCM, correct? Any doubt? It is under the RCM. Who liable to pay GST? Recipient liable to pay GST being a registered person. My dear sir, in the given case, when the services are received in the month of April 2019 by Bhola Limited, they made the payment to supplier. Freight has to pay, no? Freight paid. How much freight paid? 2 lakh paid. When paid? 10th April 2019. When the service has been supplied, payment has been paid to Hanu and Company. In that case, under the RCM, supply of services, time of supply is date of payment or 60 days from the date of invoice, whichever is earlier. Within 10 days they paid the amount to supplier. If so, time of supply for the recipient is 10th April 2019. Any doubt? No doubt. Time of supply? No doubt. Is it clear? Time of supply, any doubt? I hope so there won't be any doubt. 10th April 2019 is the time of supply for Bhola Limited to make the payment of the GST. If so, When should make the payment of GST? If a monthly paying taxpayer by 11th of May 2019 should pay the amount to department under RCM. However, in the given example, a case you take like this, Bhola Limited paid the amount of freight on 10th April 2019 to Hanu and Company to GT administrative person, but they have not paid the GST under the RCM. By 11th of May 2019, Bhola Limited not paid the GST to department. In that case, in the given case of reverse charge applicable, Bhola Limited not paid the tax. Time of supply, as you are aware of that, is 10th of April. Now, later on, when the department demands by going through the books of accounts of the Bhola Limited under audit or under scrutiny, department came to know that, hey, Bhola Limited do not pay the GST on such inward supply which apply RCM. You have not paid, now you pay the GST. Bhola Limited says, I will pay the GST on such freight under RCM. Can I avail the ITC of that? Department said, when you paid this particular amount 10th April 2019, time of supply 10th April 2019. That means it is in the financial year 1920 financial year time of supply. In the year, for example, 24-25, if you want to avail the ITC, ITC is not allowed because this is time barred claim. The time of supply long back took place to the 1920 itself taken place. Now you are asking in the current financial year, maybe 24-25, then ITC is not allowed. Then the circular of the CBIC given very big relaxation to the taxpayer by saying that all department officers and industry should follow this particular concept in the case where especially the registered person being a recipient received the goods or services from unregistered person and it is under RCM. If so, invoice should be issued by the recipient in which financial year he is going to issue the invoice for that given inward supply. That financial year is relevant for the availing the input tax credit. Time limit section 16 section 4 is applicable accordingly. I will explain to you furthermore points here. If you refer here, Bhola Limited registered person issued the tax invoice. When issued? On 12th July 2024 issued. 12th July 2024 issued. Actually, this is the invoice pertaining to April 2019. They are supposed to be issued the invoice, but that time they are not issued. Now issuing 12th July 2024. That means 24-25 financial year invoice issued. Tax paid under RCM now. When paid? By 20th of August, because invoice issued 12th of July. Then by 20th of August, they paid the GST under RCM on 2 lakh rupee freight, whatever may be GST, 5% GST, 5% GST on 2 lakh rupees, 10,000 paid on 20th August 2024. This tax amount, what they paid, are they eligible to claim ITC? Law says yes, eligible to claim ITC. In which financial year they paid the amount? Issue the invoice 24-25 financial year, they issue the invoice. If so, the relevant financial year 24-25 2025. If so, they can avail the ITC in that financial year 24-25 or by 30th November of the succeeding financial year, namely 30th November 2025, or the date of filing the actual annual return. The date whichever is earlier is the time limit available to avail the ITC of this amount. What they are going to pay, what they paid under RCM, they can avail the ITC. A big relaxation. So in the given case, further I am presenting here. If you refer here, my dear friends, time of supply as per section 16 subsection 4 of the CGST is as follows. For the financial year 24-25, 30th November 2025 is the last date to avail the ITC, comparing with annual return for the year 24-25, 31st December 2025. Among the two, whichever is earlier is 30th November 2025. That means to say that this particular Bhola Limited is eligible to avail the ITC for that particular RCM, where being a registered person, Bhola Limited received the services from unregistered person. The date in which they issue the invoice, that date of invoice in which financial year they issued, that financial year is a relevant financial year to avail the ITC, and for which section 16.4 says that since the issue of invoice in the financial year 24-25, therefore they have the time limit to avail the ITC up to 30th November 2025, or they file the annual return. In the given example, 24-25 financial year, annual return they filed on 31st December 2025. Among the two, whichever is earlier is nothing but 30th November 2025. Up to that, they have the time limit to avail the ITC. But one thing is very clear. Hey Bhola Limited, your time of supply is taken place long back, no, on 10th April 2019, for which due date to pay the tax amount is 20th May 2019. From that due date till the date of payment, you have to pay interest at the rate of 18% per annum. In addition to that, penalty also liable to pay under section 122 subsection 3, where clause E says that invoice not issued in accordance with the provisions of the particular CGST law, in that case invoice not accounted in accordance with the CGST provisions, therefore violation of the provision, the penalty under section 122 subsection 3 is up to rupees 25,000 CGST, 25,000 SGST, effectively 50,000 rupees penalty you have to pay. Department may levy the penalty in addition to the interest. Interest 18% per annum, because time of supply long back. Due date is taking place long back. From the due date till the date of payment, interest at the rate of 18% per annum, followed by penalty up to rupees 50,000. CGST, SGST together you have to pay. But one relaxation, you can avail the ITC whatever you paid under RCM, because time limit is not going to be bar in the given case. You can have time limit to avail the ITC in the same financial year, in the year in which you issue the invoice, or according to section 16 subsection 4, you have time limit up to 30th November 2025 in the given scenario. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Any difficulty, my dear?
No.
Excellent. Questions are going to come in the exam.